Hello there, I'm Moldy and I've been making content here for quite some years now, so I think it's about time for some upgrades, people. Upgrades. At least that's what I told myself to justify buying a brand new phone. It's a business expense, but I thought as I'm buying this phone purely for work purposes so that you can get a better quality video, I might as well do a little review and comparison against my phone. So the phone I've decided to pick up isn't exactly brand new. It's brand new to me, the Galaxy A54. And the reason I went with the A54 is you might know if you're big on Galaxy phones or phones in general, these are mid-range phones and Samsung usually release the new one around March, which is in about a month's time or so when recording this video. So the A56 is coming out this year, and according to the leaks, which I have been keeping a few tabs on because I was going to pick up the 56, the 56 is meant to have the exact same camera, very similar specifications to the A55. The big difference is in the phone's processing power and what they do to the image after it's taken. Now, I kept tabs on the leaks for the 55 and probably even the 54 when this was coming out, when we were waiting for it. And I remember hearing the exact same thing last year about the A55. Now, there are going to be a few differences, few tweaks and slight upgrades and improvements. But for the price of new phones, is it really worth all of that money when you've got the exact same three cameras in an old phone from 2 years ago, which I did pick up slightly reduced? But this phone costs £450 at retail. The brand new ones only cost £440. So it's nice that Samsung have dropped the phones by a tenner here in the UK. I know that doesn't apply to the rest of the world, but I'm still using my 2019 Galaxy A12, which has done well. This is what I started recording on for this channel and over on. So it's definitely worth the price I paid for it, considering I only paid £100 for this phone. I'm aware since then it's gone up from 120 to 180, and I did initially pick this up on a deal. But the Galaxy A1X phones, for those of you that aren't aware, I think there's AOX now as well. A1X, A2X, A3X, A5X, A7X. A few of them have been dropped down the road. But this is kind of the bottom of the heap. At least it was at the time that it came out for Samsung mid-range phones. Can it even be called a mid-range phone? So it's not a real good comparison, especially when we're comparing it with a newer model of a higher mid-end phone. So I also have my fiance's Galaxy A53 because as far as the A5X phones go, this is the biggest jump from 53 to 54, and mainly, I will admit, I think the big difference we're going to be focusing on for this video is the camera, considering that's what I'm going to be using for potentially the next couple of years. Now, you've probably been able to tell with some of the LEGO reviews we've done here recently and parting out some of the more expensive models, but I don't like to spend a lot on especially something that I don't see myself using outside of recording these videos. I did want to go with a higher mid-range phone than my Galaxy A12 because, well, just the things that this can do isn't really enough for where my videos are at. And the A54, slightly newer. I have been using my partner's phone quite a bit for different features on the phone, so it's only right that I got a new one. And I'd like to shout out all of you watching this video because you have made this possible. Like I said, this was just the cheapest phone I could buy when I picked it up. I never imagined I would be using it as a job, let alone buying a phone purely for work purposes a few years down the line. So shout out to all of you watching my usual content. And if you are new here, I tend to make Lego Star Wars MOCs and Lego videos in general. So if you like the sound of that, be sure to stick around and subscribe. But let's waste no more time and get into the comparison review and just taking a look at my brand new phone. By the way, anyone waiting for high quality images over on Instagram of my Jurassic Park MOC, I too have been waiting for my brand new phone to arrive. So hopefully by the time this video is out, they will be up, and there'll probably also be some comparison images between the different devices. But I'm yet to fully unbox my brand new A54. So we've got some of the unboxing experience, which we do like to enjoy Saturdays on a live stream. With Lego sets, I can't imagine unboxing a new phone every single week. But I've gone with the awesome lime color. I really like the naming series that Samsung have for their phones, with the awesome lime, the awesome blue, the awesome navy, and they're basically just all awesome colors, which, as you can see, before we take a look at the phone itself. The color of the phone is pretty awesome and matches the green of this channel, which so happens to be my favorite color. I'm going to keep going back to the cameras here because this is the main thing I look at for phones: cameras and the price. And I could have gone with a flagship phone. I'm not going to sit through 4K or 8K processing times for these videos. And I know we do shorter videos here, so that's not as long as it sounds, but my videos are processed in only 2-3 minutes. 4K is going to be at least 4 times that long. But with the cameras of the A54, you can see that there is only 3 compared to the 4 that we're used to getting on the A series before this. I think even my phone has 4 cameras. Not that you can see it with the shutter closed. But the camera that has been dropped is the depth sensor. I'm not sure if there's no depth sensor in the newer mid-range phones or they've dropped that to improve something else. And if you are aware, please do let me know down in the comments because I'm really interested in this sort of thing. But I'm hoping that has something to do with the fact that the camera is a little better. As far as other features on the phone that I'm aware of, yep, that is pretty much all. The processing power is a little upgrade to the previous one, but we're not a tech channel, so I'm not going to bore you with all of that. One thing I will say is straight out of the case, the cameras do stick out, and the cameras stick out by 1.99 millimeters. I had to measure it, which does mean if you're trying to lay it flat, I'm going to do it on my desk mat so I don't damage the phone. There is a little bit of a wonk, but if you are ordering a new phone, you should be ordering a brand new case. Yep, I didn't get the memo about that one. The 3 cameras we get are a regular camera. I have to assume that's a wide camera with a bigger lens, and by the looks, another macro camera, and then the flash, which we've had on phones for decades now. In the box, we also get a little pin device which you poke into the side somewhere, or is it in the bottom? No, it can't be in the bottom. That's where the mic goes. It's just in the top left corner of the phone. You prod this in, and this is where you'll be inserting your SIM cards. Let's actually take a little look because I think my A12 had 2 SIMs and 2 memory cards, whereas the A54 has 1 SIM on one side and a second SIM on the other side. It does still have 2 SIMs, no memory cards needed. This has a lot more storage. I think my A12 is 60 gigabytes, whereas this is 128. Still not that much when you're looking at recording videos on there, but it can hold quite a few hours worth of content. As well as the little pin, which I'm going to put back before I lose it, we're also getting a charging cable, quick start guide, we don't need that, and a charging cable, which is 1/2 meter, doesn't look to be any longer than that. We have enough of these, so I'm probably just going to keep this in the box. I'm also aware that a lot of newer phones don't even come with charging cables, let alone plugs. Samsung, I believe, are one of the few companies that do. But I do think that a lot of the time buying a new phone, we don't need a cable. I'm happy they've dropped the plug because it saves having a lot of plugs lying around, considering most of our USB ports are in the actual sockets themselves, or usually I'll just plug it into my computer while I work. But I do also think that it won't be long before most phones don't even come with charging cables. This phone's a few years old, they've probably already stopped. But the big difference between these phones, again, is that camera. Just before we take a look at the camera, I am afraid that I am going to drop this. So I've actually gone ahead and 3D printed myself a nice TPU rubber case just to protect it if I do drop it. And now, the moment of truth, if it does fit on the phone. I thought this was going to be a little too big, but it actually fits snug and holds the phone pretty well. So what you can see now is the comparison between the 2 phones on their regular video settings without any sort of modifications made, which I'm sure I'll probably make after watching these back. My fiance doesn't change anything about the camera, and this is just soon as you boot up the phone and open the camera app on the brand new A54. Now the lighting isn't perfect, you can see quite a few shadows there, and I think as far as the displays go for both of these phones, the A53 has a 90 Hz display and the A54 is able to go all the way up to 120, though it is adaptive and doesn't usually stay consistently on the 120 Hz. Watching these both back, I think the big difference I can see between them, besides the fact that the phone does cover the A54 quite a little bit, hopefully I've been able to crop that down, is there's actually a little more saturation straight away in the A54, which is surprising because that is one of the downsides to these brand new cameras on the 54, 55, and 56. That's something that got spoken about a lot on the internet, Reddit, and a bunch of other sites that I looked at when comparing these phones. The saturation was meant to be a little worse on the A54, however, straight out of the box, literally straight out the box, the saturation seems to actually be a little bit better on the brand new phone, which, works in my favor, so I can't complain. Again, when taking a photo of the Jurassic Park mock, I noticed that the A54 has a little bit more saturation straight out of the box. And again, it's definitely something you can play around with, and maybe there are better features for the A53 if you are into messing around with this camera. There is a pro camera feature which I do use a lot on my A12 for taking pictures of mocks, just because you have more control over all of the settings. But just taking a photo like most people would, the A54 is coming out on top. Zooming into the image, it does seem a bit clearer on the A54 as well. However, I do have to say the A54 has focused on the closer part of the mock, which definitely is a bit more colorful and looks a lot clearer, whereas the older phone, the A53, has focused on the swing, which does mean most of the model is actually coming out a bit blurrier than I would possibly have liked. The A54 did have its own 50 megapixel setting, which again, going back to my A12, I am used to seeing for the camera being able to only capture in that 4:3 resolution, which is okay because that's what most places accept. Even Instagram's changed its square icons to a vertical 4:3. What's up with that? But if you take a closer look at these images, specifically the back leg of the swing, you can notice in that darker region, the A54 has managed to cope a little bit better, and the image just seems a little less noisier than the A53. I dread to think what my A12 would look like because that really struggles with the darker region. Having the improved display, because my A12 only captures 720p and this phone goes all the way up to Ultra or Quad HD, 1400 pixels rather than just 1080. It's going to be really, really nice for watching my YouTube videos back, especially if I'm editing any shorts or something on this, and hopefully this will make my videos look a lot better for you. But thank you for coming along on this journey. I now have to go back and record the intro with this camera just so you can see what this is going to be like going forward. And again, hopefully there'll be images of the Jurassic Park mock up on Instagram alongside this video. So be sure to head over there, check that out. I do post images of most of the Lego sets I make videos about, but if there's not a video about it, there'll definitely be an image alongside. Thank you so much to the channel members as well for supporting this video. If you like what you see and want to try and build it, Brick Tier members do get instructions for absolutely no extra cost over on the channel member Discord. And there's also a place for us all to have more of a conversation than in the comments. Shout out to all you channel members. Don't forget to check out the merch on the product shelf below this video. May the bricks be with you always.